Well, here we are, guys. It's happened again. Nintendo Prime is going viral, and it's really interesting how this happens. On one hand, I should probably know better, but on the other hand, what I said is what I was told. I don't really know. There's no apologies needed here. This is just something that's happening. Where we're going viral on something that I don't even think is a story. I don't find this report worthy. And until it started going viral, and honestly, this morning when I woke up and realized millions of people have seen this, I think we got to make a video on it. Now, some people might be worried that I'm still just yanking your chain, and this is some sort of beat 'em ups situation. And if you don't remember that one, well, here we are. I faked a Nintendo leak to investigate rumors. Listen to this.
I can't tell you how I know. Do with this information what you will. There's going to be a Nintendo Direct next month. It's going to tease a card, Animal Crossing, coming out in 2026.
People are going to lose their minds, 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 lose their minds.
This Nintendo Direct leak took over the internet. It was shared across Reddit, Twitter, YouTube, all over the gaming news world. But here's the problem. I made it up.
And I actually talked to Beat 'em Ups about this, and we published a video of that conversation. I'm not making this up. I just think it's weird how it's spreading. And before I dive even deeper into this, because I'm a little confused. We got to go over, obviously, what I actually said, what it means, all of this stuff. We'll go over this in a moment. I want to remind you that we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 right now. You can enter through the link in the pinned comment or the description. If you feel like subscribing to the channel, that would be great as well. This is not our typical content. In fact, I already know I have a news/rumor/whatever video later today. I was already working on it, but this has just been taking things over. And I want to go over my original post here so you can see, because it's not always being properly sourced and all of that. Here's what I actually said. I've now heard from 7 different people that Nintendo has officially employed. Maybe the word officially is a little strong there, but anyways, the spread of some fake info internally to try and discover who's leaking information. This isn't the first time they have done this. It failed to catch any of Nate the Hate's sources last time. This might be in reaction to the latest leaks, or it might just be routine for them yearly. I suspect internal Nintendo leaks to go silent for a bit. This is fairly standard practice. Now, what's interesting about this is I'm describing something that's actually really well known. This is one of the reasons why I thought that there's no way this becomes something that spreads online and goes crazy, because this is really common and it has a name. It's called a canary trap. So it says a canary trap is a method for exposing an information leak by giving different versions of a sensitive document to each of several suspects and see which version gets leaked. It could be one false statement to see whether sensitive information gets out to other people as well. Special attention is paid to the quality of the prose of the unique language in the hopes that the suspect will repeat it verbatim in the leak, thereby identifying the version of the document. The term was coined by Tom Clancy in his novel Patriot Games. Fun fact. So yeah, this is a well-known thing. The whole industry does it all the time. And honestly, it shouldn't be shocking that Nintendo employs this. Kit and Krista, former Nintendo employees, used to do Nintendo Minute, among many other things inside Nintendo, talked about this during the September Direct leaks last year. Not necessarily a canary trap, but what Nintendo does internally when it comes to leaks. So I thought we would head on over to their channel and listen to a little bit of it, because again, these are people that know people directly inside Nintendo, or at least worked inside Nintendo themselves and were aware of certain ways Nintendo would try to curb leaks from getting out. So let's listen to what they had to say for a moment.
Things where, you know, they do have a lot of very strict processes inside Nintendo to control the first party information. It is a very complicated process to get disclosed, quote unquote, on information that you think you may need to do your job, but you know, the higher ups in Nintendo were always very careful about who is actually getting that information, to the detriment of a lot of times the people that were working on something, because they would have to work, you know, 4x times hard just to do a simple thing because no one else was disclosed.
So at least in our eyes, as people who used to work there, we're crossing the first party side mostly off. Mostly off. In terms of where all of these things could be coming from.
Yeah, there are a small percentage of people that, you know, inside Nintendo that may have the mentality almost, you know, they're also fans, of course. Like, people that work there are also, of course, fans of the company as well, and the stuff that, you know, is getting announced. And there may be this mentality of like, well, if I leak something or if I share this information with somebody else outside the company, I'm actually doing the company a favor. I'm actually
Seems like people really want to know this. I'll just tell them.
Like, I'm creating hype.
Right.
I'm almost like marketing the game in like a sort of a rogue. I'm going rogue.
I'm Robin Hood.
Yeah, like I'm going rogue, but I'm actually doing the company a favor.
Sure.
So, you know, there are all kinds of people that work at Nintendo, but for the most part, a lot of people that work at the company are fans just like you and me, you know? So they get excited too.
We have over the years, we did see some cases of that. Those people were dealt with swiftly. Very swiftly. But those people do pop up from time to time.
And they exist.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's look beyond first party. Nintendo works with a lot of partners. We're talking about these Switch 2 hardware leaks earlier in the year. Where were those coming from?
Manufacturers.
All of these manufacturers, all these factories, all these people just, sure, no problem. And you know, that's where a lot of this iPhone stuff, any sort of physical electronic device.
That's just hard.
The same cycle seems to happen, and they have a lot of incentives to leak that stuff, and there's very little, seemingly, that any of the actual manufacturers can do. So.
Now, they go on in this video to explain that Nintendo has an entire internal dedicated team. Sometimes we joke around and call them the Nintendo Ninjas, for seeking out leaks and the sources of those leaks. You can go check out their full video. I didn't want to give everything in it because I think it's worth a watch for anyone interested in Nintendo rumors and leaks, to learn a little bit about Nintendo's internal processes, including that dedicated team they have that's literally out to figure out where the leaks are coming from and to plug them up, whether it's obviously termination is the number one probably go-to, but also just figuring out how that information got to certain people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They claim in here that they always figure it out. I don't know if they always figure it out, or we wouldn't probably get as many leaks from inside Nintendo as we usually do, but they probably figure it out more often than we're aware of, because again, a lot of this stuff will be handled privately. Now, I do find a lot of this interesting for a couple of respects, and the first one being that, look, what I said is what I was told from 7 different sources. As of literally 5 minutes before I made that post, I had another source taught to me. Nintendo is, employing the canary trap, at least either at the moment or have done so quite recently. And this is something that Nintendo has likely done many, many times over the last 40 years. This seems like a very common tactic. We've heard Mike Odyssey talk about his time at Apple corporate, being aware that they would implement the canary trap at times to try to catch Apple leaks. And yet Apple leaks still happen to this day. Of course, most of the Apple leaks come from manufacturing, which is one of the hardest things to really deal with. The second hardest would be when a leak comes from a third-party company that you work with. You don't want to ruin that third-party relationship, and you obviously can't control those third parties and firing employees. So there's obviously relationships to navigate how some of this stuff gets out, and some of it's just inevitable, like dates for directs getting out. A lot of that comes from probably third parties, from what I can tell. And that kind of stuff is going to be almost impossible to stop. Whereas something like a Star Fox game getting leaked by Nate the Hate, that's the kind of stuff that Nintendo really wants to get plugged up. They can't do much about the direct stuff, but they can do stuff about internal first party controlled IP and how that information gets out. Now, Star Fox might involve a third-party company, and maybe that's where the information came from, but it doesn't really matter. Nintendo wants to control it, and they have methods for doing so. Now, as I stand by what I said on the 7 people have told me, I want to note something about these sources, and maybe this makes you question my credibility, and frankly, you probably should question my credibility. You don't have to take my word for it, because I'm not here to tell you I'm right about everything. I am not right about everything. I want to look at something here that was shown to me today that I had never bothered to look up because I didn't realize there was even enough information out there for there to be such a summary. But I Googled Nintendo Prime credibility, and here's what Google has to say about me. So opinions on Nintendo Prime's credibility are mixed, with many viewers viewing him as a sensationalist clickbait creator, while others acknowledge he sometimes cites sources for his rumors. Not sometimes. If I'm not the source, which I rarely am, I always cite the source. Not sometimes, but it's fine. It's Google. Anyways, as we go through here, he's occasionally been right about specific announcements. He is frequently criticized for presenting speculation, unverified, or exaggerated information to drive engagement. I have a mixed reputation on forums like Reddit. Some users consider him a clickbait artist who uses inflammatory titles and sensationalizes rumors, contradictory views. Conversely, some viewers note that he sometimes uses rumor in his titles and provides disclaimers rather than always selling rumors as fact. Hit or miss accuracy. While Nintendo Prime has correctly predicted or reported on some of Nintendo's news, such as specific announcements, critics argue this does not outweigh the frequency which he covers fake leaks and speculative content. Industry content. He often covers broader, unsubstantiated rumors regarding Nintendo's internal strategies, such as reporting in April 2026 an alleged canary trap tactics to catch leakers. What I find funny about this mentioning the most recent one is he often covers broader unsubstantiated because I'm the source. Anyways, conclusions on credibility. Nintendo Prime is generally regarded as an entertainment-focused news channel rather than a reliable, high-tier insider. That actually is a really good definition of my channel. I might want to borrow that and put that in my channel description. Anyways, users frequently advise taking his reports with a grain of salt. That's totally fine. You should do that with any rumor, as his content often aligns with more speculation than confirmation on official information, which is really interesting because I do cover all the official information as well, right? Like we cover all the directs, we cover the trailers, we cover the interviews. It's not surprising because we do cover a lot of rumors and leaks, and really over the last couple of years, we've been kind of reliant on that stuff during the transition to Switch 2, and then Nintendo kind of having an interesting lineup, I'll say that, with Switch 2, where, Pocopia is out now, and we don't even know what the next system selling Nintendo game is going to be because it's not announced. That said, look, my stance on all of this has been fairly consistent for a while, and that stance is simply that I am not an insider. I don't want to be an insider. I get information coming my way sometimes, and when it comes to the 7 people who have now told me about this, here's the one thing I can tell you. None of them directly work at Nintendo. They are not on Nintendo's payroll. So this information is like third hand to me, second hand, however you guys want to know. It is not first hand information. I did not hear this directly from anyone inside Nintendo. I heard it from, obviously, people outside of Nintendo that work with Nintendo. That might say, oh, you're just helping them narrow down who got this information out there. I guess I think it's pretty obvious that my sources were from outside companies, but I guess some people can interpret that maybe I heard from internal Nintendo staff, which I have not. I have no contacts internally at Nintendo. I have no way of knowing anything internally at Nintendo. And when I do find out stuff, like say people bring up the Tears of the Kingdom thing that I was right about sometimes, that is something I heard directly in person at a media event I was at. That is not something that I just have access to all the time and access to that kind of information. I don't know anyone inside Nintendo, and I abide by every NDA and anything else thrown my way. I always do. I don't break the law with that kind of stuff. I I just didn't think this was a story. I thought this was a pretty big non-story. It's fairly well known. Canary traps are used all the time. Whether or not it's reported on or not doesn't really matter. It's a very common tactic. And no, contrary to what people are saying, none of this makes me doubt the Nate the Hate stuff that he put out there. I don't believe that he's been canary trapped. In fact, Nate the Hate responded to this in a way that, like, it's interesting because I literally said that Nate the Hate shouldn't have to worry about, like, we shouldn't be questioning anything because of this with Nate the Hate. If you question Nate the Hate, that should just be you being skeptical in general. But I do find it really interesting when he's forced to respond to this stuff, because he's well aware of this. This isn't news to him. Like, if I'm hearing about stuff like this, my God, he's probably heard about this hundreds of times behind the scenes. So here's that My Nintendo News putting out the tweet, which just, again, not really worth covering. But he says, this is good news. Finally, they can catch whoever's spreading the leaks. Then big leakers like Nate the Hate won't have info to spill. He says, the fact you think this is new is laughable. Such practices have existed in most industries for decades. So, and I even responded, I said, yep, I didn't even think this was newsworthy. I mean, because it's not. This is such common knowledge that when I put that tweet out, truly did not think it was going to go anywhere. I thought, I might get its normal 100 likes. And, I put the tweet out there because the more people that were contacting me, including the 7th person who contacted me before I put that tweet out, a lot of the people in the industry that I know, am friendly with, know on a first name basis, have met them. All of them are aware of, like, my platforms of YouTube and X being, like, my 2 big platforms. And so a lot of them were reaching out, and I thought if I put a tweet out, that would get them to understand, hey, I don't need any more people to contact me and reach out about this. I'm already aware of it. I was just trying to calm down the reach outs because I don't think I need any more. Once I have 7, I'm like, damn, that's a lot of people telling me the same thing. Most of these people being people that have told me accurate information in the past. So yeah, I'm just going to throw it out there so no more people feel like they need to contact and tell me. Maybe they were trying to tell me so I make a news report out of it, I guess, which now it just happened, but that was never my intent. I just was letting, everyone know who pays attention to me, hey, I don't need to hear about this anymore. And it blew up. And I guess I should have known better. I should have known it was going to blow up. Would me knowing it's going to blow up stop me from posting it? No, because it's not fake information. Not for me, but you don't have to believe me. You can think it's fake all you want. If you want to think Nintendo doesn't do canary traps, fine. Or if you think they do, but it has nothing to do with what I've heard and what I've been told, that's fine. I'm not trying to be an insider. So it's really funny to me when people talk about my credibility and reliability as a leaker, when I'm like, I'm not a leaker. So I don't care. Like, you could call me the least credible, most untrustworthy leaker of all time. That's fine, because I'm not trying to leak things. I am a talking head on the internet that just, over the years of me doing this and being to all these different media events, happen to have met some developers and become friends with them, and they tell me things time to time. It's nothing nefarious or anything like I'm trying to gotcha or ruin people's jobs or any of this stuff. I'm not an insider. There's a reason you don't hear me talk about when directs are going to happen from my own sources or games coming to Switch 2 from my own sources. I rarely ever mention anything. Even when I do know stuff, there's stuff that already released I knew about before it was ever announced. Didn't ever make videos on it or reports about it. I'm not out here clout chasing and trying to build a credibility rating. I think it's a very dangerous space to live in. This is why friends of the channel like Attack the Backlog have claimed, anyways, I hope they stick to it, that they are absolutely done after this month, which, I think it's just because they're waiting to have a partner direct or whatever confirmed on their end. But Attack the Backlog is backed off of this stuff too. I think there's way too much pressure about leaks and rumors. And so I would never want to be part of that pressure cooker in terms of having that pressure on me. Not for the purpose of clout, for the purpose of attention. Look, if I wanted to build clout and attention with this, I would not have put this report out on Twitter. I would have made a dedicated video, or better yet, saved it for the Nintendo Byte podcast to drive attention to our podcast. That's not what I did. That's not what I was trying to do. The amount of money I make on X is like pennies, man. It's very minuscule. So look, take it for whatever you guys want. You might see this story pop up on news websites throughout this upcoming week. Just know I'm the source on it. You don't have to believe it. I don't really care. It's happening regardless. And life moves on. I don't really know what else to say. I didn't want to make this video, but it's my own fault. So no one else I can blame. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll catch you guys in the next one later today where we cover some actual news and other rumors and stuff. Bye, everyone.